The following program is intended for mature audiences.
A democratic republic of sports. The Sportsocracy with ESPN Asheville hosts Tank Spencer and Jeremy Greene.
Welcome in once again to the Wicked Weed Studio. I'm Tank Spencer, Jeremy Greene alongside. This is the Sportsocracy. Follow, like, and share the Sportsocracy on all of the social medias. And yes, don't forget to check out our good friends at wickedweedbrewing.com. Wicked Weed Brewing, drink different. All right, we are talking about the NFL 2021 prognostications, the win and loss projections for this upcoming season. The AFC West.
The Kansas City Chiefs are going to win a lot of games.
Yes.
Spicy
hot take. The Kansas City Chiefs rule this division, and I don't see anything changing in 2021.
I don't either.
But I do see some shakeup.
Oh, I mean, I see things changing in this division. It's just not going to be with Kansas City.
No.
Especially now that they fixed the one great big problem they had towards the end of the year is that they couldn't protect Pat Mahomes. Well, they can now.
That's a hell of an offensive line they have put together.
Mm-hmm. That's probably a good place to start.
Probably so. Kansas City Chiefs.
Kansas City Chiefs.
The Kansas City Chiefs, obviously, they are defending AFC champions. They have been to 2 Super Bowls in a row, and I don't see a whole lot changing this year. I don't know that they're going to get to another Super Bowl. In fact, I have predicted that they will not get to another Super Bowl, but they are definitely going to be the kings of this division once again.
Well, they're going to have to prove it because the schedule starts aggressively strong.
It does. They start off with what we believe to be 3 top-end playoff teams in the Cleveland Browns, the Baltimore Ravens, and the Los Angeles Chargers. Then they get an off week as they go to Philly.
Which is a glorified off week.
And then they got to go to the Buffalo Bills, or they host the Buffalo Bills, go to the Washington football team, go to the Tennessee Titans.
And then?
Jesus.
And then?
And then they get the Giants at home.
Win.
And then they get the Green Bay Packers.
That's still a win.
At home.
And then they get the Raiders, Cowboys, Broncos, Raiders, Chargers, Steelers, after Ben's arm falls off, Cincinnati Bengals.
You get to end the season much better than you started.
Yeah, you know what the rest of that schedule is? A lot of... Oh, wait.
Wow, winning.
There it is.
Lots of winning for the Kansas City Chiefs here.
I have the Kansas City Chiefs at 13-4.
I have them at 15-2.
I think you are Gary Busey drunk. 15-2 is a lot of damn wins.
15-2 is a lot of damn wins. I know they're going to face a very tough schedule to begin the season, but when I just look at them against any other opponent, I go, Pat Mahomes can win those games.
I'm going to say I think they will struggle against teams that score a lot of points. A team that can score with them is going to be in trouble. The problem is that they're going to score, not at will, but as close to at will as you will ever see in the NFL. So if you can't score with them, you're doomed.
Right.
And I look at the Browns that way. I look at the Raiders, a lot of teams on that schedule. They just can't score with them. I get Pat Mahomes, you get Baker Mayfield. I get Pat Mahomes, you get Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
Like my side of that.
I do as well.
I think this is going to be, I'll flash up our prognostications for the season. This one's Mr. Spencer's. He has them as the number 1 seed in the AFC.
Yes.
Getting beat in the AFC Championship game by the Bills. I have them losing to the Buffalo Bills in the divisional round.
Okay.
I still think this is a very good team. I've been on record as saying I think this is the Bills' year. Don't ask me why. Just gut feeling I have. But I still think Kansas City is easily the second best team in the AFC.
Well, Buffalo's definitely going to be a team that's going to be able to score with the Kansas City Chiefs.
And I think they play defense better.
Right.
And I think they learned some things of their first real playoff run last year. But I still look at Kansas City and go, if you told me right now they were in the Super Bowl, wouldn't surprise me in the least.
No,
If you told me they won the Super Bowl, wouldn't surprise me in the least.
No. It wouldn't surprise me either. The thing about the Kansas City Chiefs is, how many times can you expect Pat Mahomes to continue to bring this team back from the brink after they get down in playoff games? I mean, it happened all throughout the Super Bowl run. It happened last year until they ran into the buzzsaw that was the Tampa Bay pass rush in the championship. I know you roll your eyes because I'm talking about my team, but
the buzzsaw.
But tell me where I'm wrong. I mean, they had Pat Mahomes running for his life, and they fixed the offensive line.
Killed.
Yeah, they fixed the offensive line, and if he can stay healthy, he is going to be, they're going to have a much better shot to go deeper in these playoffs.
I agree. That was the one big knock I had on Kansas City was that the offensive line had atrophied. Now they might have 6 legitimate offensive line starters. So not going to be a problem. Love Kansas City. Not much else to say there.
Yeah, this schedule is going to be chock filled with great games.
It's a tough schedule, and I still have you winning 13 games.
Right. I'm a little drunk at 15, but I really want to see a rematch in the Super Bowl this coming year. Anyway, Kansas City Chiefs, Andy Reid, they're getting the job done. Patty Mahomes, MVP, once again, why not? Let's go ahead and crown his ass.
He would be my favorite for MVP.
He is.
With the amount of time he's going to have to throw, and as bad as Clyde Edwards-Helaire is, I think we'll be just fine with Patty Pat. Kermit T. Frog.
I'm Tank Spencer. He's Jeremy Greene. This is the Sportsocracy. Follow, like, and share the Sportsocracy on all the social medias. Hit that subscribe button so you'll see all of our content as it comes out. Here, going to be a big season for the Kansas City Chiefs. Yeah, what is this going to be? 3 in a row now for them?
Yeah.
3 division championships.
And they're going to win a lot of them.
They're going
but they have a contender that's coming quickly.
They do have a contender that's coming quickly upon them, and that is the Los Angeles Chargers.
Favorite graphic in all the NFL.
Not enough can be said about Justin Herbert and the rookie year that he had last year for the Los Angeles Chargers. They've got a new coach in town, Brandon Staley, taking over for Anthony Lynn, a guy that we pinned a lot of their one-score losses on last year for his inability to keep his team either completing a comeback or holding on to a lead.
I think Anthony Lynn not being the head coach of the Chargers anymore is worth 3 wins. Just solely because in terms of time management, I have seen very few coaches that were worse. Justin Herbert far exceeded my expectations in his rookie year, and I don't see a sophomore slump coming. I think this team's gotten better. This team gets guys back. They're going to be good, in my opinion, on defense. And then I look at the schedule, and I'll be honest with you, I see a lot of freaking wins.
There are a lot of wins on that schedule. There is no doubt about it. I mean, they got the New England Patriots, they got the Philadelphia Eagles, the Vikings, the Broncos, the Bengals, the Houston Texans, the Broncos again. All of those to me are easy wins. I know no wins are easy in the NFL.
There's about I don't know how many, from Halloween until the middle of December. They had to play Kansas City on a short week. I literally think they're going to reel off 7 wins in a row.
Yep.
Patriots at the Eagles, Vikings, Steelers probably after Ben's arm falls off, at the Broncos, at the Bengals, at home for the Giants. They're better than every team I just said.
Yep.
So I think that's going to be the meat and potatoes of their schedule. The beginning is not all that pretty with the Washington football team, Cowboys at the Chiefs, Raiders, Browns at the Ravens. I could legitimately see them being 2-4 and then being 9-4. At worst being 8-5. With a little playoff push on the backside of that Chiefs game that includes the Texans, Broncos, and Raiders.
That's a hell of a way to go into the offseason or into the postseason.
The last 11 games of the season, I could see a path where they lose exactly one of them.
Which I think they will be in the postseason.
I do too. Well, that's not true. I think they can be. I think the Chargers can absolutely be a playoff team.
Now, I'm not saying it's a given that they're going to be in the playoffs, but I think there's a possibility.
Well, you have them in the playoffs.
I do have them in the playoffs, and I have them going 13-4.
You do?
And I don't think I'm too far off on that. Like, I'll be surprised if they get to 13 wins, but 11's not going to be shocking.
You've got them getting to the playoffs and then losing to the Titans. I, on the other hand, have them getting into the playoffs and losing to the Chiefs. Between the 5 people that work on this show, 4 of the 5 of us have them in the playoffs. There are 8 teams, in our opinion, there are 8 teams that can make the playoffs in the AFC. The Chargers are the 6th or 7th one to almost all of us. One guy had them as the first team out. But I just look at them and I look at this division. They're markedly better than the Raiders. They're markedly better than the Broncos. I've got them at 12-5. You've got them at 13-4.
Yeah. Obviously, injuries can play a big factor into any season.
I just look at all the toys that Herbert now has.
Oh, yeah.
With Eckler and, people will say, oh, they lost Hunter Henry. I think they're better at tight end with Donald Parham and Jared Cook.
Really?
Oh, well, they at least play more than 5 games a year.
Now, that's a good point.
Hunter Henry's never had more than 600 yards in a season. Either he's never had more than 600 or it's 800, and Jonnu Smith is the other one.
Right.
I've used it to condemn the Patriots for a while. So.
And you still have the security blanket in Keenan Allen on the outside.
I still think very highly of Mike Williams if he can stay healthy.
What's contract?
I like Jalen Guyton way more than you do. And then I like the defense. I just see no
It's
path.
not that I don't like Jalen Guyton.
You don't. No, you talk shit. Chargers fans, get him. I'm on your side.
It's not that I don't like Jalen Guyton. Just to me, he's a really fast dude. He's nothing real special.
He's a pretty good receiver.
Okay. Anyway, Mike Williams is in a contract year. So that's going to be another big benefit to Justin Herbert is that the pressure is going to be on Mike Williams to 1, stay healthy, and to 2, just ball out so he can get a major contract next year, which I think can be on the precipice if he has a great season.
For me, the Chargers are a team that worst case scenario goes 10-7 and misses the playoffs. Best case scenario goes 12-5 and makes the playoffs. A name to pay attention to, and you will hear me say this name markedly more times over the offseason, Larry Roundtree. Just remember I said it. Got a little birdie that so happens to be affiliated with a West Coast team that keeps telling me they think he can be a legitimate starting running back in the NFL.
Really?
And allows them to flex out Eckler and do all the fun little hunky-dunky things they do with him.
Eckler proved to me last year that he can be an every down back. However, I don't think he's best served in that role.
No.
And if Roundtree could come around to being a thing and they could have that 1-2 punch again like they had with Melvin Gordon and Austin Eckler, I'm all in. And
now with the lines solidified the way it is with the addition of Filer and Slater and Corey Linsley, the ceiling is the roof for the Go Chargers, go!
Well, no, unfortunately, the roof is the Kansas City Chiefs, and they're not going to be able to knock down that door yet. You think there's a chance this season that they could win the division?
Better than 0.
I will agree with better than 0.
Better than 0. I'm not going to say it's much better than 0, but I think there's a better than 0 chance they win this division.
Better than 0, less than 15.
I will say it's a better than 0 chance for them. It's absolute 0 for the Raiders and the Broncos.
There's no doubt about that. I'm Tank Spencer. He's Jeremy Greene, and this is the Sportsocracy. Follow, like, and share the Sportsocracy on all of the social medias. Hey, check out our Patreon as well. We're on Patreon now, patreon.com/the Sportsocracy. You can sign up, become one of the producers of the program. We have all different levels, all different perks for your subscription to the Patreon. Helps us keep the lights on here in the Wicked Weed studio.
Go Chargers, go!
If you'd asked me last year, I would have told you were crazy if we were talking about the Chargers possibly being a threat to the Chiefs. I mean, of course, I thought that Justin Herbert was going to be a bust to begin with, and boy, was I wrong about that.
I just thought he was going to take a long time to develop, and yep. Yep.
We were oh so wrong about that. Now the big question is, can the Raiders take a big step?
Speaking of being very wrong, one of us is, and it ain't me.
The Las Vegas Raiders, I don't see any way that they're not the third best team in this division.
I don't either.
I don't see a way that they're the worst team in the division, though.
I don't either. But I think you're drunkenly low on the Raiders.
I am drunkenly low on my prediction for this season as we went through after the schedule came out. We'll get into that in just a second. First, let's get into the meat of the schedule here. They're going to open up on September the 13th against the Baltimore Ravens at home. It's going to be the first first game in Allegiant Stadium.
With fans.
Monday Night Football. The atmosphere is going to be hot. Unfortunately, I don't think that's a game that they can win.
I'm not going to say they can't win it. I'm going to say I don't think they do. But then you go into a period of the schedule of we'll know what the Raiders are within the first month of the season. Because there are three really good gut check games of teams that I think are close to them in the Steelers, Dolphins, and Chargers. I think the Raiders are right on the outside of those three teams. If they can win one of those games, or hell, even more than one, it will greatly curry favor to me with the Raiders.
And then they get a pretty favorable 4-game stretch where they go against the Chicago Bears at home, go to the Denver Broncos, get the Eagles at home, and then they go to the New York Giants.
You know what's going to happen in that stage?
What's that?
A lot of
Wow, winning.
I think 3 definites and a maybe.
I'm going to say 4 definites.
Really?
Yeah. I feel about the Denver Broncos the way you feel about the Raiders. Then the rest of the schedule, you got a lot of Bengals and Broncos.
I was actually not talking about the Broncos. I was actually talking about the Bears in that situation.
You're wrong. It's okay.
I still like the way the Bears play defense.
Yeah, in any disagreement, somebody has to be wrong, and it's usually you.
The Raiders have struggled to score points. I think
At
that's
least
one
when
of
you
those,
argue with me.
Right. The Raiders have struggled to score points, and I think that's something that is a danger zone when you're taking on a team that's got a good defense like the Chicago Bears and the Denver Broncos.
Yeah, I don't think they can make the playoffs. So I think Darren Waller is a huge mismatch against the Bears, but we'll get into that closer.
Absolutely.
Closer as we get to that game.
He's a mismatch with everybody.
I feel like the end of the schedule has too many at the Cowboys, Washington football team, at the Chiefs, Chargers, Colts, Browns. I just feel like it's a murderer's row. I feel like they're going to be very much in contention for a playoff berth, and then they're going to fall off the world in the last month of the season. And that is my fear, which is the reason that I have them going 8-9.
Yep.
You, on the other hand,
I might have been drunk when I did this. I don't remember.
You said 7-10 wrong.
And actually, you got my totals flipped there. I actually had them 4-13, and the Broncos 5-12.
Well, here's the thing. I can only do what you tell me, and
I may have told you wrong, but here's the thing. I like it looking better this way because somehow I got to the end of the process of going week by week, picking every game, and then we totaled up all of their wins, and I went, how in the hell do I have the Denver Broncos ahead of the Las Vegas Raiders?
Well, you know what? Maybe it was a Freudian slip. You told me backwards because you were trying to correct your fuck up.
Yeah.
Because there is not a snowball's chance in Atlanta this thing goes 5-12. I think I'm about right at 8-9. And most of mine is the schedule. If they had the Denver Broncos schedule, I'd have them at 10 wins probably. Because I think the team's good. And I think the defense is young and it's going to get markedly better. You know why?
Why?
It's that divine Satan, man. That divine Satan playing linebacker, man.
Old Diablo.
Divine Diablo.
Knock on wood.
Knock on wood if you hear me, man. I like this Raiders team better than you do. I have the entire time.
Yeah.
Brian, the third of our morning show live weekdays, 9 a.m., here in the Sportsocracy in the Wicked Weed Studios. Brian is drunk as Gary Busey and Charlie Sheen's love child on how bad he thinks the Raiders are. And I'm literally willing to bet my house that I'm closer than he is. Because I think he's got them legitimately at 5-12.
Yeah.
Or they may even be worse than that.
I think they're worse than that. I think you only gave them like 3 wins.
Yeah, I'm closer to right. Heed the words of the great Flostradamus. I am right on this.
Yes.
The Raiders are closer to a playoff team than they are to the Denver Broncos.
When I did my prognostications before seeing the schedule come out, I had them at 8-9. I don't know what happened in the in the post-schedule release project that we did here, but it's definitely going to be much, much better than 5-12 or 4-13 or anything like that. I do believe that.
Agreed.
In my soul. The Las Vegas Raiders, though, it's going to be fun to see fans finally in the stands there at Allegiant Stadium. That's too nice of a stadium to have it sit empty.
Agreed. And you know, I'm looking forward to seeing fans in Allegiant. I'm looking forward to seeing how close the Raiders can get to the playoffs. This is your simulation of the season, and you have the Raiders markedly out of the playoffs.
Yes.
Me, on the other hand, I'm a little more realistic. I'm a few less one-loss or one-win teams. Everybody's more in that like 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 in the bottom tier, and I've got the Raiders just outside of the playoffs.
My big question, though, is if they have another losing season, they go 8-9, does it at some point come back on Chucky? At some point, does John Gruden, does Mark Davis have to have a very tough conversation with Mike Mayock and John Gruden and say, guys, what's going on? Because since you got here, we've been in this nebulous, horrible area.
There's been a lot of young talent brought in, and you've got to see the process through. I still believe in John Gruden, and I'll be honest with you, I shouldn't have even said still. He's convinced me, because think about how bad this roster was just a few years ago. And look at it now. I see what you're doing, Chucky. Knock on wood if you hear me, man. I'll give you a little while longer.
I'm Tank Spencer. He's Jeremy Greene. It is the Sportsocracy. Follow, like, and share us on all the social medias. And don't forget to join us every weekday morning right here at 9-ish in the Sportsocracy. I guess that just leaves one.
And then there was one.
There's only one left.
One is the loneliest number that you'll ever do.
We're going mile high with the Denver Broncos.
They better be high.
Likely going to end up being the last team in the AFC West division. There's no better way to say it. Look, I like the team. I like a lot of their weapons. Obviously, the big question for them is at quarterback. Drew Lock, Teddy Bridgewater. I think Drew Lock's probably going to start the season as the starter. But you don't. You think it's going to be Teddy, right?
You said Drew Lock's going to be the starter? No, he's not. It's Teddy Bridgewater. It's George Payton's guy. One last hurrah for Vic Fangio to prove he can do it. I'll be honest with you. Looking at this schedule, I see a path where Vic Fangio is out on his ass by the bye week.
Really?
I do. I think he's on very thin ice anyway.
To me, I think
now, granted, I think the defense is fantastic. The problem is you don't have the quarterback. This is a spot that if Aaron Rodgers somehow wound up with the Broncos, I think they're an automatic playoff team.
Yes.
That's how big of a difference a quarterback can actually make. But I just look at Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater and go,
Teddy Bridgewater is serviceable, but he's not good.
He has a pulse.
And he's not going to win you games. We saw that in Carolina last year. He's going to keep your offense moving. They didn't practice red zone, getting in the end zone. So
I want you to tell me. All right, so
he's not familiar with that.
They start on the road with the Giants and the Jaguars.
Yeah,
hard to win on the road in the NFL. They could easily lose one of those two games. Then they play the Jets. I want you to tell me where the win comes in what I'm getting ready to say.
Okay.
Ravens at the Steelers, Raiders at the Browns, Washington football team at the Cowboys, and then the shitty Eagles. But that's
Eagles.
That's 6 losses in a row.
It is, and I think they could. I think it'll be a decent game at home against the Las Vegas Raiders. I know that.
They could lose that game.
They could.
They
win that
don't
game.
have a snowball's chance in hell of beating the Ravens, Steelers, Browns, Washington football team, and at the Cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
They have no shot. And I think that's enough to get Vic Fangio fired. And I'll be honest with you, and I'm even going to pull down the schedule so you can see my face on this one. It's the greatest thing that could possibly happen to the Denver Broncos. I have said since he got this job, how in the fuck is he an NFL head coach? Mm-hmm. As many guys as have tried to get the opportunity and haven't, how in the world is Vic Fangio still an NFL coach? I think this team is a legitimate starter and a head coach away. And I'll be honest with you, the thing I will commend, George Paton, yeah, he's the adult in the room. Mm-hmm. Did a great job in the draft, put all the weapons around to let Teddy be the game manager he's supposed to be, Javonte Williams, adding Patrick Surtain to the defense, adding all the pieces in the backside of the defense. Mm-hmm. So that if you go 3 and out, you don't convert, whatever the case may be, you can just punt it and let the defense do what it does. Mm-hmm. And I think they're going to be in a lot of low-scoring games. Problem is, I don't think either one of these quarterbacks is good enough to beat any of the teams they have in the beginning of the schedule.
I don't believe not any of the teams, but definitely.
Outside of that first 3.
Oh, yeah.
Giants, Jaguars, Jets, and then it goes Murderers Row, that you're going to win 2 of 7 if you're damn lucky.
Yep, and then after Vic Fangio gets fired, you can, reclaim at least 2 more wins after that.
Quite
you got
possible.
Detroit and Cincinnati. But even in that stretch, I mean, you got LA twice, you got Kansas City twice, and then you got Vegas again.
Here's what I think happens. I think you go through that Murderers Row. Fangio gets fired. In the offseason, George Paton brings in his guy, which I'd still maintain he should have been allowed to do anyway. Mm-hmm. And a year from now, you're a legitimate contender with a legitimate quarterback. That might be Kirk Cousins.
I think you're pretty spot on.
Denver.
I think you're pretty spot on with your guess here.
I got them at 7 and 10. There are winnable games on the schedule. Mm-hmm. And Tank's got them at 4 and 13, which I think is overly dramatic.
It is.
But I don't think they're any better than that. I don't think they're any better than 7 and 10.
No.
I don't see any way that you're better than the Raiders. You're certainly not better than the Chargers or the Chiefs. Mm-mm. And it all comes back to the quarterback. You have all of the pieces you need except that one piece. And I have to be honest with you. This is what I was getting ready to say a minute ago. I commend George Paton for trusting the process. He didn't buy into Justin Fields. He didn't buy into Mac Jones. So instead of trying to shoehorn in a quarterback, he said, nope, I'll go get the one I really want a year from now.
Yep.
That's what a GM with stability and job security does for you. That's what the adult in the room, which is what George Paton is, does for you. Conversely, here's where your life could be. Look at the Chicago Bears and realize you were 1 draft pick away from being the exact same thing. Mm-hmm. You got a coach on the hot seat who wants to win right now and a front office that wants to get snaps for the rookie. Just be glad you're not that. It's just 1 more year, and then you're competitive as hell for a really long time. Don't know who that quarterback's going to be, but you're going to be one of the only teams in the quarterback market, and I think George Paton knows that.
Right.
And I won't be shocked if a year from now it actually is Aaron Rodgers. It's not going to be right now. Mm-hmm. Aaron Rodgers is going nowhere. Mm-hmm. I will not be shocked if the 2020 day 1 starter for the Denver Broncos is Aaron Rodgers. Just remember you heard it. Just remember who said it. Nostradamus, the mullet himself.
That would greatly change the outlook of the AFC West, and then we could be talking about the AFC West.
The way we talk about the NFC West.
Exactly. I was getting ready to say the same thing. As one of the toughest divisions in all of football, because that defense is not going anywhere, and they're not going to be kind. They may have tough games on their schedule, but the Denver Broncos are going to smack people in the mouth.
Exactly. I mean, and this is not going to be a fun team to play. Mm-mm. I mean, I want you to understand, I'm saying they have no shot to make playoffs and all that other shit. That's because of one position. Mm-hmm. It's still a good team. And it's still going to be a team you do not want to play, and you sure as hell don't want to go to Mile High. So, I mean, it's going to be a fun year for Broncos fans. Just know, come the end, it's probably not going to go your way.
Yeah.
But you're real close. Real close.
We're glad you're along with us here in the Sportsocracy. Join the Sportsocracy family on Patreon, patreon.com /the Sportsocracy. We appreciate everybody who has already joined the Patreon family and encourage you all to do the same. Be sure to subscribe to the channel here, and you'll get all of our NFL team-by-team content rolling throughout the season.
Underdog.
The AFC West, again, it's going to be ruled by the Kansas City Chiefs. LA Chargers right behind them on the rise. The Vegas Raiders, they just keep floating around that level of mediocrity that I think the clock is ticking. I really do think the clock is ticking.
I don't.
On John Gruden.
Trust the process.
Trust the process.
A lot of young players. That defense is going to be markedly better. The Raiders are better than people think. Mm-hmm. Just remember, your local Flostradamus, the mullet himself, was here to tell you that.
And you think the Denver Broncos are a team that is just a couple of pieces away. And I don't disagree.
Not a couple. They're a piece. Just so happens to be the biggest piece.
Head coach as well.
Well, this kind of go hand in hand together. So, yes, the two biggest pieces, the head coach and the quarterback. Mm-hmm. And you know what? I think you're going to be able to get one next year. And if you're a Broncos fan and you're looking for that content, August 1st, NFLDraft.net will give you everything you could possibly want. Brought to you by Flostradamus and the Sportsocracy. All of your draft content, all of your prospects, all of the mock drafts. My mock draft 1.0 drops on August 1st.
Yep. We appreciate you, everybody joining us here in the Wicked Weed studio. Don't forget to check out our friends at wickedweedbrewing.com. Wicked Weed Brewing, drink different. I'm Tank Spencer. He's Jeremy Greene.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next time.
Thank you.